Final Fantasy V is one of my favorite Final Fantasy games. It's honestly amazing how this SNES game had such an impact on me as a person, though I played it on the PS1 Anthology version, a port that was so badly translated that they made Ferris speak like a yardy-har pirate. I paid more attention to the job class system than the music or the story. That being said, I love the jobs. I think 5 did a really good job with the crystal job system, having a white mage to be able to negate any physical attack, or having a bard that sings for coin only to throw it plus tax at your spine and shatter it, or my personal favorite, a monk that can literally stop time to do a light speed kick, or rewind time to do the zero punch. That being said, here are my top 10 favorite jobs in the game and my favorite ways to use them. Spoilers ahead if you want to play the game yourself. I will be showing the late game since it makes it easier to get good examples of what I'm talking about, as well as some early game content. Plus talking about which crystal gives what job, and your level only affects your HP and MP maxes in this game, so no worries about level manipulation playing a factor here. Also, I have a really special announcement to make at the end of the video, so stick around for that. One last thing. If I don't mention what crystal the job comes from, take a look at the bottom left hand of the screen. You'll see exactly what number crystal it comes from. There's enough jobs on this list to create an honorable mention slot, and I think this job deserves that more than not being on the list at all. Ranger is a third crystal job, smacked out of the throat of a black chocobo. It's a long story, and a long trip, so don that cap and shoot them arrows. The bow is an accurate weapon, but with the ranger, it saw fit to make it more accurate with the signature ability, Aim. You take nearly a turn to do a guaranteed attack. It's rather squishy, with even a thief having more HP than it, and a handful of equipment to boot. It's only 4 levels though, still requiring 700 AP to master, but since it's weak and fragile, I don't really use it. Ranger got here because of its mastery ability, Rapid Fire. Attack 4 times in a row with slightly less attack power than a base attack. This can go on nearly all physical classes and be useful. And paired with the right equipment, it can turn even weak classes into nuclear armaments. Red Mage is a great class. The ability to use black and white magic with one character in one ability slot is really helpful for the early game. It's a second crystal job, and despite ranking high enough to make it on the top 10, it's still at number 10. It caps out rather early on with only having base access to the level 3 spells for both white and black magic, and the equipment peaks midway through the second third of the game. After that, the best equipment is the Enhancer Sword, which is found in Istery Falls or stolen from the Sword Dancer enemies in the final dungeon, or the Assassin's Dagger, which is an ultimate weapon. Sure, you can see the level 6 spells with the Mastered Red Mage, and or maybe White and Black Mage too, but you can't use them. Dualcast is the final ability for Red Mage, but it greatly benefits every other mage in the game, except Blue Mage. Abilities for the Red Mage I find useful are Spellblade, since it can use the late game magics at max job level. Lance is another good ability because of the naturally beefy magic stat, and the amount of MP restoration you get from Lance is pretty bad normally, but if you're able to get anything out of it, it's still worth it. Sing and Dance are both good as well for stat boosting. Dancing can trigger Sword Dance, which works well since the Red Mage can equip the Dancing Dagger and the Lamia's Tiara to increase the chances of Sword Dance going off even further. Red Mage is truly a jack of all trades, master of none. I personally love time magic in just about every Final Fantasy game that includes it. Sure, haste and slow are nice, but what about Demi and Mute? Since when was being silent a time trick? Time Mage is a powerful mage and useful in just about every fight, but they are squishy critters with the least amount of HP of any mage besides, ironically, the Red Mage. Not only that, Time Mages have 8 body armor and helmet options each. Yes, they have less than 10 even at the end game. The reason this is higher than Red Mage is because of the mid to late game spells like Meteor, Quick, Speed, and Return. These spells really define the Time Mage and turn it from a simple support mage to a support nuke slinging mage. 2 of these are unique to this game. Quick, which allows the caster to stop time around them for 2 turns, and with this you can really dish out a lot of combos. One combo I like personally is Hastega and Sloga. The really good spell here is Return, as it will restart the battle. This can be really useful if something goes to shit or you need a rare steal, and you will do that a lot for stealing. A lot. A lot. Then, once Dual Cast is obtained, you can use it for a lot of fun. Dual Meteor is really fun to use on a single target. Say, what if I double cast Quit? Oops, I broke time. Wait a second, why am I still regenning HP? Why are they still regenning HP? They're stuck in time, I'm at least able to move. What the hell's going on here? Now this is odd to have above the Time Mage of all jobs, but I like my hard-hitting physical classes. Early game is great for knocking down high HP mobs like the Zoo. It's got good HP itself, overtaking Knight and nearly equal with the Monk, but at a drawback of Horde speed and magic. It's only 2 job levels, 500 AP total, which makes this the 3rd easiest job to master behind Blue Mage and Bard. It does have problems. It's pretty inaccurate, axes as a weapon class are inaccurate, and some bosses are single target, but not great physical targets. Enemies midway to the late game start punishing physical attacks with counters also, so you really gotta be careful after the first third of the game. And while you can fix the inaccuracy by using a knife or use the ability slot for a sword, once again that slot can be filled with much better abilities. Early game it's hard to justify using it because there's such a small equipment pool for it, but once you are past the 4th crystal, you really have no excuse not to give it a shot. It's a lot more versatile than you'd think. Two-handed works perfectly here since you don't have to worry about any abilities that you actually have to be worried about using on time. This job is made for this. Dual wielding is great for racking up damage. 2 axes or 2 hammers, or hell even an axe and a knife, hammer and a knife, axe and a hammer, etc. You can do a ton of damage with dual wielding and Berserker if you really wanted to go that route. I prefer two-handed, but dual wielding can be pretty fun. For Berserker you really want to steal the Gaia Hammer from Titan in the early game. Otherwise you're going to be waiting for a long time to get a chance at the next one. And don't get me started on the Titan and Rune Axe combo. Whew, that's a killer right there. Artful Dodger can also be great on Berserker, since it has auto attacks that come out very frequently whenever you do that. Paired with the Rune Axe, you're dishing out critical hits within seconds, and using Sloga on the enemies almost guarantees your victory. Thief is a classic job in the Final Fantasy games, all the way from the first game. Unlike that game though, this thief can steal from enemies. It's not great at it though, with a base stealing chance of 40%. This game has a chance for the ability to miss, and then on top of that, they add the chance of you stealing the item. Yes, you have to fight 2 RNG numbers to actually steal in this game. You can increase the chances to 80% with the Thief's Gloves. You can get one of these in the Fire Ship, which is pretty early on. The next one is in... where is it? Oh, it's a rare steal from a boss in the Merge World. Thanks guys! No, that's okay. I really didn't want any more of this useful item when the stealing chances in this game are so abysmal and tedious. Thank you! You can also gain a flee ability called Scram. I don't know why it isn't just called Flee. Wait, that's not your ability! Thief's biggest strength is its agility. It has the highest agility modifier in the game at plus 16. And the final ability, Artful Dodger, gives any job the speed of a thief. Now this is never a fun class to use in these multi-job systems. Trying to master a thief is never fun because they're usually very squishy and very hard to actually deal damage with. But you know what would make this job even better? Artful Dodge. Whoa, I never knew about this trick. Look at him, he's slicing up that poultry like it's fucking Sephiroth. Dragoons are one of my favorite jobs just by their design. Bards and Ferrises are the best in my opinion. And while they may not be the strongest job out there, even being outclassed by Ninja and Dancer in a lot of cases. But to me, even though this class only gives 2 abilities that are useful, they're 2 great abilities. Jump is the job command, which is the most useful, and it's most useful with spears. But the other weapons work just fine with it. It can still jump with a sword or a katana, axe, knife even, staff. You know what makes a really interesting result with jump? The blood sword. And the twin lance. Did you know that the blood sword never misses at a jump, and that the twin lance does its twin attack on a jump as well? But it won't do it with rapid fire. Thanks game. The lance ability is a drain and osmose combined, with the HP absorption being a full drain, and the MP absorption being about half the power of osmose. This is a magical ability, so physical jobs just don't get much benefit from it. However, look at these numbers. At level 46, I calculated how Lance works with a handful of other jobs, and I'm pleasantly surprised. The numbers in parentheses is the MP withdrawal, and yeah, even a blue mage at level 46 with 51 magic cannot draw MP from a decently powered enemy, and it was the same enemy I was testing it on. I was testing it on those little sea devils. What's crazy is that a ranger at the same level can do so much better than the blue mage. In fairness, if you aren't using boost, then you'll get this early on and forget about it, or use it on Dragoon and think that it's useless. Or you'll be using the boosts and buying ethers. I do recommend this ability for mages though, since it is a full power drain, and the MP that you're getting, like I said earlier with the red mage, it's still worth it, because a lot of spells in this game are actually kinda cheap. It's not really until the late game where you start encountering spells that require a large amount of MP, and by then, you already have a large amount of max MP, so it really shouldn't be that much of an issue. As long as you have a good magic stat, you'll be just fine with this ability. Abilities that can help the Dragoon though, are abilities like Counter, so you can eke out a little bit extra damage from the spears. If you have any of the equip abilities, this is a job that can utilize that to a good effect. Not a whole lot to this class. You could also dual wield if you wanted to. Dual wielding jump spears is insane. You can do tons of damage with that. It may not be the best, and my kid self may have thought it was the best, but hey, that's part of the fun of the game, is being able to take a weak class and turn it into a fucking powerhouse. Monks are first crystal job, much like the thief. It's good at tanking and offense, boasting the high HP modifier of all jobs. It can't use weapons, instead opting to punch the target instead. Some iterations have a staff or a knuckle weapon that the monk can also use, but 5 counts being unarmed as dual wielding, and monk has the innate modifier of the bare-handed, which boosts unarmed damage, so it actually kinda equals out. This job can do more damage than the knight early game. Even mid to late game it can do good damage, at the cost of not giving the best abilities. For a level 7 job, its best abilities are Focus, Barehanded, and Counter. I've already been over Counter and Barehanded, so Focus I'll just go over right now. Focus takes a turn to build up power before unleashing an attack roughly double the attack power of a normal one. This is good for jobs like Knight, funnily enough, or Mystic Knight, when you use Spellblade and then you just go and unleash. Counter is more situational, but For a job like Berserker, it's just a strong passive, and I can see a ninja with a counter being strong as well. Barehanded can work for any class since any class can go unarmed, and I'd argue Berserker is best for it because once again it's going to be attacking frequently, and fists actually have a critical hit modifier whereas most other weapons just don't. Yes, I'm not kidding, your fists have a critical hit modifier where your weapons don't. Funny how these jobs mash with each other so much. A Monk Berserker sounds pretty deadly, and don't equip barehanded on the monk because you'll become unable to use the character. They become Bruce Lee. Chemist was one I loved the idea of, but I couldn't get into as a kid because of the mix command. I had to use the poster for Riku's Overdrive in Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy V doesn't have such thing. Aside from mixing, the Chemist has the job command of Drink, which is a really good idea, because that liquid in a bottle that dropped from the monster you just killed is definitely worth putting your life on the line for, right? The innate ability, Pharmacology, allows the Chemist to double the potency of restorative items. Why is the Chemist so high up if it's not the best and kinda hard to use? Well, Drink can double your HP, it can increase your attack power, it can grant you haste or protect, it can even raise your level. And that's not all. With Mix, you can create concoctions like Balm of Gilead? Gilead? I don't know. A high potion with an ether to create a complete MP heal. If that's too expensive, no worries. For only 1,040 gil. A potion and a Phoenix down, you can bring someone back from the dead with full HP and MP. I'm not even kidding, it's that cheap to get a full heal in this game from death. A Maiden's Kiss and Holy Water grants the Berserk, Haste, and 2 Mirage clones, essentially making a temporary agility tank. Or let's say you get into a battle with that religious fundamentalist that you keep running into and you really need a quick 666, Dark Matter and a Potion is your friend. The Recover ability is a free Asuna. It cures Blind, Silent, Sleep, Toad, Many, Confusion, Paralysis, and Old. And it does that on the whole party too. Revive is a free raise on the whole party. It's not the strongest, but for a full party revive, it's not that bad. All in all, Chemist is a survivor and it can be pretty versatile. The weapon pool is very limited, and the armor pool is also very limited. And just keep in mind that if you mix the wrong thing and you select the wrong target, you will atomize yourself. So you be very careful with that. Knight is the first job in the series. Well, technically it's Warrior, but for 5 it's the first job on the page, and this job is bad ass. Swords are broken up into 2 categories, Swords and Knight Swords. The Knight Swords start with the Blood Sword. I love the Blood Sword. Too bad it's a magic based weapon, and it's got an accuracy of 25%, I think? Accuracy. And the Knight is bad with magic, just like the Dragoon. Funny how these jobs match with each other. Yet, this time, it's completely detrimental. And no, you can't equip the Blood Sword on the Mystic Knight. It doesn't spell Blade, even if they could use it. You know what's funny though? If you use Lance with a Knight and a Blood Sword at the same level, it's about 10 to 20 HP more than a Dragoon. That's because the Blood Sword gives you more magic as you equip it. I think it's about 5 points, which is pretty fucking strong. As for abilities, you have Guard, which is the job command, and it negates all physical damage, literally. Paired with the innate ability to cover at low HP, you can have a 24-hour Night of Attrition.
Boo! You stink!
The main reason to level up Knight is to get to level 3, getting the two-handed ability. I mentioned this before, but this ability slaps. This increases the attack power of swords, axes, hammers, and katanas by double, at the cost of your shield slot though. Doing this can give you that extra edge and damage and make it worth using the Knight over the Monk early game. Hell, for even a good chunk of the game if you really wanted to. As I said before, Berserker makes good use of this passive as well. See why I like it so much? It has a lot of ways to go about making it useful, and the next job on the list has one such ability that I've already mentioned. I don't have an audience big enough to poll, but if I did a poll of just 1,000 people, I think this would be the average number 1 job in Final Fantasy V because it's just that good. Ninja is not the most versatile, it is not the strongest, and it is not the tankiest, but it is bar none the most interesting. It has high agility, nearly that of the Thief, by 2 points off, but it innately has the dual wield ability, and it is super strong, even with a ninja. But knives don't do this class justice, so let's take it to the Mystic Knight. This is the setup with and without dual wielding, and this is me using Thundara as an example on a lightning weak enemy. I would use Thundaga, but it kind of vaporizes the enemy and it doesn't show me a damage number. Without dual wielding, I could do a good 5,000 damage with it, and I add an extra 25 to 3,000 points of damage with dual wielding. By the way, this magic instance is one where two-handed is actually better, as it straight up maxes out even with Thundara. Even switching to a much lower tier weapon, the damage is equal to that of a normal hit with the one-handed enhancer, with Thundara. Ninja also has access to the ability Image, a support ability that grants the user 2 chances to outright dodge a physical attack, which makes Ninja the true agility tank. Its job command is the throw ability, which does what it says on the tin. Though you're really only going to throw 1 of 5 items, you will never throw a weapon. Not even Thor's hammer! I'm not making that shit up. That's in the game, and when you use it, you throw it. I'm not even fucking kidding. That was such a perfect weapon to take onto the throw command. You didn't even have to use it upon use, it could have just come back to your inventory. Oh well. The ninja also has a nifty ability to instantly run from battle. Ooh, very snaz. Wait a goddamn second. That's not your ability! Seriously, why did they put 2 flee abilities in this game? 1 was enough! That's just a waste of a level and a waste of game code. You could have done anything with that. Give Thief the ability to flee and give Ninja, I don't know, something else. Jesus Christ, that's such a waste of time. Oh, I love Samurai. The katana type weapon is a strong sword on its own, but in the hands of a samurai, you can slap the enemy with your sword to stun it with Mainuchi. Yeah, tell him that if he wants to act the fuck up, he's gonna get smacked the fuck up. You also have an ability called Zeninage, which uses a portion of your gil to throw at all enemies, usually dealing massive amounts of damage and will kill most random encounters. Well, except this prick. I have a trick up my sleeve for dealing with these guys. The ultimate ability. Yainuki! Take a stance. They unleash instant death upon the enemies standing in front of you. Now this isn't the most accurate ability in the game, nor are many monsters capable of being insta-killed. However, in random encounters for grinding experience and AP with monsters that can be insta-killed, it's pretty amazing. And it saves on MP too. It's amazing. Pair this with a Time Mage and you can guarantee a win, or force destiny into giving it to you. Let's also take a second to note that katanas are one of 4 weapon categories that can do critical hits. The other ones being bare fist, like I mentioned, ultimate weapons, which makes sense. The other one, I'll keep a secret. Two-handed is fantastic with samurai, and so is dual wield. Neither is better than the other realistically, but I think two-handed just ekes out. Artful Dodger is also really good for samurai because the more critical hits you're able to get off, the faster the battle ends. The Masamune grants a first strike no matter what, so following that with the Hermes Sandals for a haste buff, it makes this class a force of nature. And that's my list. I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments. If you can tell, I have a physical bias. But classes like Berserker or Knight, I highly recommend the rune weapons for to utilize their MP, since you're not really going to be using that for much else. And although I love the Mystic Knight, I didn't include him on this list because I feel like he's a bit more situational than the ones I did include on this list. Aside from the elements and late game spells, you really won't be doing much spell blading because it takes a turn to set up, and unless you know the enemy's elemental weakness, you might actually be wasting your time more than that. All jobs are viable though. Just don't dump them all into Berserker. You will die, you will fail, you will cry and bleed and sweat and cry again. Lastly, I did say I had a special announcement for this video, and that is that I have reached my personal goal for the year of hitting 50 subs on this channel. It's not a play button or a substantial number like 100, but it's halfway there. And seeing my channel halfway to 100 subs makes me look at what I've done so far and all the ideas I have listed down, and it makes me realize there are people out there who either find me funny or enjoy my videos on some deeper level. I don't want to set any big goals, but I want to try keeping pace and try and get 100 subs before the end of next year, starting now, since I'm so fucking slow. But no matter how you came to my channel, I definitely appreciate the sub, and I appreciate the watching, and I hope you stick around for more, because I don't plan on quitting, and I would love to hear your feedback as I go on into the future and do my thing. Alright, I'm shutting up now. Tune in on the 30th of October. There might be a stream then, because it will be my birthday. And I work Halloween, so unfortunately I can't do a stream on Halloween. So that will be my Halloween stream for the year. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in whatever the next video is in that live stream. Alright, now that's just fucking annoying. This guy is such a prick, like I said before. All he does is this Breathwing attack. Even when you get a preemptive strike, it is not enough. He somehow is just doing an attack at the very start. It is so aggravating to program enemies like this. Who the fuck would do this? Oh right, Square Enix. Well, Rook, I have a little bit of advice for you. To quote the name of a store from Hermitcraft Season 7, looky looky down the barrel of my fucking shotgun as I blow you out of the sky.